first, before we go into anything else, like I want to say thank you guys, all three of you, for like being vulnerable and telling the truth, because like we don't hear this enough, and especially you three are entrepreneurs. All three of you have your own business. You guys don't work for like a specific company. You guys work for yourself. So like working for yourself and being a mother, that's like 10 jobs in one. How do you guys handle that? Like having pressure from like social media or people in your circle who are saying things to you that are kind of like low-key, like rude as AF.
My husband is Filipino, so he grew up in the Philippines. The culture is different there than how I was raised with my family, who was born here in Canada, and the cultural clashes. I found the two things that I keep having to establish boundaries with is like, here's how my daughter eats, meaning like, these are the foods I like her to eat, because different cultures are different things. And like, I don't want her living on an entirely processed food diet, which is how my husband's family does eat a lot more. And so I'm like, here's the food I'm sending to you. Please eat this food. The other boundary I had to draw was talk about her body. Commenting on the shape of her body only makes her look at how hers looks different. And I know she's only 2, but I think we start absorbing those messages early. So, and I just want to raise her in a place where she's celebrated for her brains and her mind and her personality too. And she's not aware of how her body is different than other people's.
Mm-hmm. Christina, how is it for you?
2 things. One thing that touched on is parenting styles. I love my husband. Oh my God, we're the best couple ever, and we get along so well. And then you have a baby, and you're like, wait a minute. I thought we were on the same page here. But with culture differences and background differences, that plays a huge role. And I'm starting to see it now, but I don't think that's something that people tell you. Like, your parenting style with your partner and how you communicate with your partner during pregnancy, post-pregnancy, as you're raising your children is so important, because what I think is right and he thinks the opposite, you clash, and then it affects the relationship. So learning how to parent on one accord is something that should be discussed before having kids. The other thing is setting boundaries. My mom, I love my mother so much, like she's the best mom ever. And I'm super grateful for her. We live in New York. My family's in DC. She came and stayed with us for 2 weeks, when I was in the hospital and my husband was tired, my mom was the one walking Tristan around the hospital, and her and Tristan have this most amazing relationship. But I find myself having to be like, hey, and she'll say it. She goes, I'm a mom, right? You know that I raised 3 kids, right? And I'm like, yes, however, we are in a different day and age of parenting, and your parenting style, I don't fully agree with sometimes. So when it comes to my child, this is what I would like to see happen.
Like, you have to set those boundaries. And then Shan, how is it for you? Because you're really close to your family. Like, we know your family. Like, Heather and I know your family really well. Like, you guys are a very close-knit group, and which is amazing. But how does that work with being a new mom and setting those boundaries? And your partner, he is cultural differences. How's that working?
Yeah, so I'm Latina, he's white. Just like Christina was talking about, like, even with my mom, baby-led weaning, what? You're not gonna give him the purees, you're just gonna give him chunks of food and he's gonna choke and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yes, we are in a new day and age, and this is what's best is, there's a lot
he likes figs.
Yeah, he loves all kinds of food, but my mom refuses to let him pick up food, get messy, because she wants to feed him herself. And I have to constantly say, Mom, please don't do that. Or he won't want something and she'll pretend to put something else in his mouth and shove this thing in. I'm like, you cannot do that. If he doesn't want something, don't give it to him. Like, it's all good. There's other things that we can give him. It's easier, I feel like, for me with my mom setting boundaries, because I have no problem telling Jimena, like, listen, Mom, stop. But if it's my suegra, like if it's my mother-in-law, I'm like, like, even drinking, breastfeeding and drinking alcohol. I don't know. Everyone's different. My pediatrician is old school. She said, honey, you did your job. Now it's time to have fun. But if he sees me having a third glass of wine, she's like, you're going to have another one and you're breastfeeding? Yeah, I am. Okay. I'm going to enjoy myself. It's all good. For me, I internalize a lot of things. So when I hear it, then I take it out on my fiance, because I'm like, She told me again, with mommy play dates, guess what we're doing? We're freaking throwing back some beers, okay? And we're going to the park. Like, it makes it funner, Matthew. And like, I don't want to come home on a Tuesday and see you tipsy. Well, you don't? Well, you know what? I don't want a lot of things that you do, but I'm going to enjoy some IPAs because I feel like
it's been a day. Like,
Yeah.
and I love how honest you guys are, because like Heather knows this. Like, when I get married, I think even Shan knows, when I get married, I kind of hope my in-laws are in a different country, because I don't have time for the issues. Like, I hope that person is, I hope his family, I hope he ain't got no siblings. I'm praying for a single man. Like, he just got no siblings. You gotta tell your mom. Like, yeah, and I know my mom. Like, I love my mom. Shan, Heather, you guys know my mom. I love Patricia. That's my ride or die. But I'm gonna tell you right now, she ain't stepping on my boundaries, my parents' style. Like, we won't have to have like real discussion about yes, no, maybe so. And also, you guys are raising kids in the pandemic. Like, you guys all had kids in a pandemic. And I know that like my friends who have had recent kids at the pandemic, they say it's different. Like, the kids are not getting like the socialization of other kids. Are you afraid about losing, if they're risking like not having social skills or anything like that?
Yes, I'll be honest. So we had started putting Tristan in gymnastics class and she was loving it. The pandemic kind of picked back up again around the holiday season. And so I was just a little too nervous to have her around. There were a lot of reports of kids, catching COVID. And I was like, you know what, let's just scale back on that. Yes, she's weird with other kids. I even talked to a specialist about it. The specialist was like, send her to school. Like, she was straight up, she said she's socially awkward. She definitely is. Her being in the house, I do believe, played a role in her just having to pay more attention to us than doing normal kid stuff. Even with her speech, like, she tries to talk like an adult, she tries to speak in full sentences versus mama, cup.
She's with you guys the whole time, so she's adulting at an early age.
Adulting at an early age, and I'm just like, okay, maybe it is time to try to normalize socialization with her and other children. We live in a building that's full of kids her age. So now we have a mom group chat, and we'll text and be like, hey, do you guys want to meet in the playroom? And we'll all go downstairs and let our kids just kind of run around. And she's starting to be more open to being around kids without being scared first.
Shan, like I think you have the youngest kid in this group right now. How is that working for you?
Wherever I go, he goes, girl. I don't, if mom's going to a party, okay, it's not kid friendly, then I'm not going. He can come, okay. I pass him around to everybody. Did you hold him yet? Hold him. Like, he's with all my friends, families, everybody talks to him, picks him up. I have friends from all, different diversities. I really try to put him in as many social situations as possible. Yeah, we were kind of scared with the panini or whatever. No, okay, we can't see anybody. But now it's like, you know what? I'm not going to be scared anymore. We've gotten COVID. Mateo actually got COVID on his first birthday, which sucked because we decorated the whole house, had the balloon arch, the cake, everything ready to go. And that morning he tested positive. So that was a really kind of Debbie Downer for us that we had to get past. But we have the antibodies now. We're not looking past, we're looking forward. And yeah, you just have to kind of keep living life.
What about you, Tanessa?
Well, my daughter was born February and everything got shut down in March. So we had like all the people over, and then all of a sudden all the people were a danger. But we didn't have anybody hold her beyond that for the first 4 months, which I think my family really missed out on that. Our family, like in general, doing that. And then I don't know, like things were a bit different in Canada, but we've had a lot of like extended shutdown of things, and there was no baby classes that we could go to. And I actually found one of the more interesting things to navigate was other parents' comfortability with COVID, because you go to the playground and like my daughter is always curious. She wants to talk to people. She goes and plays with kids of all ages, but you can see on the face of their parents, the different levels of comfort. Some people are like, sure, let our kids play. Some people are like, your baby doesn't have a mask on. Like, I'm not comfortable with that, but like nobody says anything. So there's this really awkward, you could tell both people are like, are they comfortable that my kids are that close to their kids when it's strangers, right? And there's no established, like, here's the rules of the playground. So like really being like, well, I hope that parent doesn't mind that my daughter is like right up in her face, because I don't really know what to do, but that was really interesting to navigate now. And I'm on the same page as Shan right now. At this point, it's just like me and my husband, we had COVID 2 weeks ago. My daughter had it last Monday. Like we're through it now. And at this point, we're just like, All right. No fear. We're just going to live our lives at this point. So we're in the same place you are. Yeah.
That's it. Hannah, baby girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did she have, was she bleeding when she was born, like in her diaper? So they say that some girls,
yes, I took her to the urologist. But go ahead, tell them.
What?
I was shocked.
We couldn't go on without this. So
no,
baby girls have a period pretty much when they're born.
What?
Yes.
They're suffering already.
They're detoxing off of our estrogen and progesterone hormones. Like I took a photo of it. I took her to the kidney doctor because I was like, what is this? There's blood. Like he's like, oh, that's a baby period. I was like, baby period?
How long
like,
does this last?
Ours was like a week or it was like 7 days maybe.
She had a real period.
A real period, yes.
Only girls have that. So Shan, you lucked out over here because
yeah, but the guys have to get circumcised and then you have to like put a pad of like Vaseline on their pee for like a week or two until it like heals.
Yeah.
And then the umbilical cord, I didn't know that you had to like not bathe them or touch it or anything, and then it falls off. And it's
in your laundry usually, like somewhere you don't want to find it. It's like in your bed sheets by the socks at the bottom of the bed. Like, what the frick is this thing at the bottom? It's like a clip with dead skin hanging off.
Stop it. Okay, before we wrap this up, I do have one more question. Do you feel like as women, and especially like women of color, like, or just being in that situation, did you guys feel like you had to be an advocate for yourself? Because sometimes the doctors do not listen to you while you're delivering.
Yes, my stupid doctors didn't know I was pregnant.
Yeah, so you're going to be advocate 24/7.
And then I freaking went in and they're like,
that
by the looks of your blood work and by the looks of you, you're probably 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. Girl, I was 20 weeks pregnant, 5 months. It was a nurse practitioner that didn't find out or whatever. But my doctor had, came up to me and said, you know what, I had to talk with her because that's not okay.
I'm glad.
You've seen all the symptoms and just giving you, as a woman, you have a sore throat, they're like pee on a stick. But you need to speak up because closed mouths don't get fed. And this is your baby on the line. And if you don't feel like something's right, you need to speak up because, there could be repercussions down the line that if you stayed quiet,
I had urethra trauma from the catheter going in and out, the in and out catheter nonstop. And I kept telling them, I'm like, it hurts to pee. And they're like, oh, just go on antibiotics. It's a UTI. I was like, based on what test results? Like, did you test my urine? And I was like, no, I'm not going on them. They're like, it's just going to get worse. I was like, I want to make sure it's not trauma. Like, you have like a plastic straw and it's going in and out every 2 hours. Like that might be it. And of course the test came back negative and I would have been on antibiotics for no reason. And they just wreak like havoc on your gut. But there's even so many things going through this pregnancy that I've taken on myself that is quite new, questioning everything. Why are you giving me this? Why are you prescribing me this? Like, it's amazing how many people don't know that you can ask questions about that stuff. Like, is this a good test for me? Or is this a blanket thing that everyone gets? So this time, a lot of the tests, I was like, tell me why. Tell me the proof behind it. Why do you think I'd be at risk for this?
So I have a bicornuate uterus. I have a double uterus that's split. And that meant that the baby wouldn't potentially have enough room to grow or turn. So that's why I scheduled a C-section. Every doctor's appointment, I was asking 1,000 questions because first pregnancy, I have a different situation going on the inside. I need to make sure at all times my baby was good. And then of course in New York, when it comes to the Black maternal rate, like it's extremely high because doctors don't listen to Black women when they are delivering these babies or going to these doctor's appointments. And so I definitely had to speak up for myself in every appointment to make sure you guys are doing everything right. My family were also advocates and voices for me when I couldn't be. And I think that's important as well, to make sure your husband, your partner, your mother, whoever's in that delivery room knows exactly what you want to happen so that if there are any complications, you have a bunch of people speaking on your behalf and not just yourself, especially if you can't or you're not, hey, I just gave birth. I can't even think about what's going on right now.
So let's wrap this up. I want to thank everyone for being on this panel and for sharing their knowledge and being super vulnerable. We really, really appreciate it. Make sure to follow these ladies. Ladies, you want to give our lovely audience on how they can follow you, keep in contact with you?
I'm on Instagram most of the time. My handle's at Tanessa Shears, and I'm also host of the Becoming Limitless podcast, which is all about biohacking for entrepreneurs.
You can follow me on Instagram, Shan Berries, or Shades by Shan. Also, yeah, if you guys want to shop makeup, make sure to support small businesses. And yeah, you can follow me there.
I am at Christina N. Wilds on everything, Wilds with an S on the end. And if you want to follow my daughter's book club, it's at Tristan, Tristyn, Tristan's book club.
Until next time, Slay Nation, we will catch you later.